Thanks, everybody. So I've been actually thinking about this for a little while now, and I finally decided to sit down and do a video about this when I watched Jeremy for Geeks and Gamers video the other day on what episode 9 needs to do in order to kind of fix things. And this is actually something I really enjoy is kind of speculating on what might the plot be, where might things be going, and that sort of thing. I think that when we do these things, there are some people, and I do kind of wonder, who it is who actually thinks this, but there are some people who criticize us that it's like, hey, well, this is the reason you didn't like episode 8 is because it wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be. And I say I wonder what kind of people do this, because it's like they did not say this about Harry Potter fans. All the different series that come out. When we were speculating as to what Infinity War might actually play out to be. That wasn't a criticism of it. In fact, Infinity War did not play out the way I thought it should. And it was actually much better. And I was very happy with it. The Force Awakens was not the movie that I wanted. But I really loved it. And, it's like coming out of it, I didn't want them to, to change it. So just because we do these type of things, it's like, that wasn't the reason that we have criticisms of The Last Jedi, and frankly, if you're still making up these little excuses of why we didn't like The Last Jedi because of it wasn't exactly what the fanboys wanted or stuff like that, then you're just not listening and you're being dishonest. So I don't know why we're spent that much time on it. Anyways, Jeremy made a really good, cool suggestion, and I've been thinking along these lines, but not quite exactly like this. But he made the suggestion of splitting episode 9 into 2 parts, and the story that I came up with was very distinctly 2 parts. And I'd say story. It's a very it's a very brief idea that that does actually require 2 parts. We'll get into that. And so I was like, I was thinking about putting stuffing these 2 parts into one movie, but this might actually work better. But I think what might even be more interesting is to split episode 8 into 2 parts. And this is what I mean. This is what I was kind of thinking about doing. Is retelling the story of episode 8. If we don't want to just completely re-edit it, I do think it's salvageable as part of Star Wars. But I think it might be necessary to kind of go back and to recast some of the plot so that you can move forward in a better direction. It's one of the big problems, of course, is Luke's role in episode 8, and then Snoke's lack of a role, and so kind of the main idea that I had was to retell episode 8 from a different point of view, specifically Luke's point of view or Snoke's point of view. You can kind of do kind of like episode 8. The main part of episode 8 was really from Rey and Kylo's point of view, is to step back and actually retell it from Luke and Snoke's point of view. And so the advantage of this is that you actually get to kind of reset Luke's motivations. You get to retell Luke's story. And that it does not necessarily have to be exactly what was told. That you can retell this that Luke is doing the things that he's doing, is saying the things that he's doing, not out of real belief, but as a way of manipulating the situation. And you kind of reset the entire story as, not this relationship between Kylo and Rey that is playing out on their battle, but a greater battle behind the scenes between Luke and Snoke. And so you can make the throne room scene not necessarily specifically about Rey, but actually a behind the scenes force battle between Luke and Snoke, and get into Snoke's background a little bit, get into Luke's motivations and his real power. I don't think that we at the end of the day should make Luke dead, and however they set it up, I don't know exactly where the story goes from here, but there are some things that we can do here that would help salvage things. I kind of like this idea of a friend of mine and I we're discussing, what like an episode 9 trailer could do to really telegraph to the fans. It's like, hey, we've heard you. We're taking your criticism seriously, and the kind of a fun idea that we had was is to set up the scene just exactly like the opening to the episode 7 trailer, the desert land. And remember in that trailer you had Finn just suddenly burst up into the thing with a gasp, except this time it's Luke. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be Jakku. I like the idea of it being a desert planet just because it mirrors things so nicely, but it could be Tatooine. It really could be anything. And a little bit further into the trailer, you have a conversation between Luke and Rey or whatever that Luke was able to kind of enter the Force stream thingy and retain himself and emerge from it, and that's kind of showing off his power, which we want. It's bringing him back, which we want, and so there's a lot of advantages to stuff like that. I would some simple stuff in the trailer would be really cool. Hux standing up to Kylo, just like one line of Hux really giving it to Kylo. Not trying to make Kylo look weak, but to make Hux seem strong again. Hux was so strong in episode 7, and he was so pathetic in episode 8. And I really thought we lost something in there with that. A mere suggestion in the trailer that Kylo might have been lying about Rey's lineage, and I'll look, and I'll tell you why the lineage thing is so important. And there's 2 reasons for that. Is if Rey is not a Mary Sue, which she is right now, and I was one of the people after episode 7 saying, no, she's not. Okay, yeah, she beat Kylo in a lightsaber fight after Kylo had been shot. I mean, how people kept overlooking that is beyond me. But she wasn't a Mary Sue in episode 7. She definitely wasn't in episode 8. But one of the ways you keep her from being quite that is lineage. This is why Luke is so strong in the Force, is because he's Anakin's son. This sort of thing is really kind of important in it, and it has explanatory power. She's not just some random person who is now able to use the Force better than we've actually ever seen Luke use the Force in a film. Return of the Jedi was the best that he ever got in film with the Force, and and he still wasn't like raising like 100,000 rocks and building a cave with his brain. And so it's a little bit ridiculous that she's able to do that with absolutely no training. And just as a reminder, it's like, there's a specific time frame that episode 8 happens, and it's not long. I seem to remember it being like a day, but it might have been a couple of days. There was no training going on. There was very, very little training going on, and you do not have that in Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back, you don't have a set time frame that I know of, but it certainly felt like a lot longer, like they had been there a long time with Yoda. And so and even then, Luke comes out not nearly as strong as Rey did, but her being a descendant of a great Jedi or a great Sith has explanatory power as to why she is so naturally strong. We still need training. This sort of idea is like, oh well, the Force is everybody, and you can just raise your hand and you get a broom. It's really kind of silly. And so that's reason number one. Reason number two is the Skywalker blood is what holds the saga films together. What is episode 4? What ties it to episode 1? This is the story of the Skywalkers, and that's kind of what it's always been. And just having Luke and Leia briefly appear in movies is not enough of a tie to keep this a cohesive whole. And so I think that's really important to have. Just to keep that narrative style going. Now we do have Kylo. To kind of keep that going, but Kylo's a bit different than Anakin, though. Anakin, in episodes 1 through 3, we were mostly cheering for. Anakin was one of the protagonists. We knew he was turning into Vader, but we saw it along the way. But it's like it's the struggle of the main character. It's like fighting between darkness and light. And then episodes 4 through 6 is the next generation of the Skywalkers, but we're still on their side, having the story of the Skywalker turn into the story of a group of people who are fighting against the Skywalker, and the Skywalker occasionally appears in the movie. It's not enough of a tie for me. I don't think narratively it holds together all that well. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on it. I appreciate Jeremy for kind of launching the idea, and we're definitely gonna have to just definitely have to wait and see. I didn't see Solo. I have no interest in seeing Solo. If it looks like Kathleen Kennedy is likely to be, it should be gone by episode 8. We're gonna approach. I'm sorry, episode 9. Episode 9. We have to approach it very cautiously, and I've not decided that I'm going to see it or interested in it at all. But I haven't ruled it out, and so we'll see. I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you another time.